As a patient advocate, I'm excited about the potential of AI in healthcare. I enjoy following Dr. Castro on LinkedIn.
Accurate early disease detection, groundbreaking.
This technology promises a future where care is customized to each individual's unique health profile. Keep up the good work, Dr. Castro.
Yes, predictive diagnostics within reach.
Thanks to innovation in this field, personalized healthcare is becoming accessible to all. I'm happy to see that Dr. Castro wrote the first book on ChatGPT and healthcare back in 2022.
No more injuries undetected.
Hi, as an AI researcher, I collaborate with medical experts, like Dr. Castro, to develop technologies that predict health risks, personalize therapies, and support surgical procedures. Our aim is to leverage AI to not only improve health outcomes, but also to save lives.
VideoGen AI medical imaging transformed.
The new iPhone 18 will leverage small language models. I am excited to see what applications Dr. Castro will create. He has several Apple Vision Pro applications out.
All right, guys, one more.
ChatGPT and said, change the words as if you're talking to a 5-year-old. Change how you would explain, give us the examples. And then they used Midjourney, put those concepts together, and gave that child a coloring book. So here you go, let's color together. And I thought, wow, what a way of delivering healthcare.
Join me in transforming healthcare using AI. It's the year 2022, and I'm playing with ChatGPT for the very first time. And I think to myself, this is going to change healthcare. In fact, it moved me so much that I literally started writing a book on ChatGPT and healthcare and literally got it published within 3 weeks. I'm so excited about how AI is going to help us all. I want to reflect at this small little scar that I have here in the hand, and it reminds me of the healthcare that I personally had. It was horrible. I waited for hours in the emergency room, and the worst part for me is the doctor didn't use any anesthetic. And I told myself I will grow up one day to be a doctor and to be compassionate and to help others. What started as a public service announcement just to help my fellow physicians and healthcare professionals and patients on how to use AI to get a better healthcare outcome became something huge. I literally was getting called all around the world to talk on the biggest world stages on how AI could help healthcare.
And the persons from West Africa, they look at me like, I have no idea what you just said. But now I can use the power of ChatGPT or any of these tools and say, hey, give me some examples. Like this is my example in the US. What is it in West Africa? And then I can give that to the patient.
I'm teaching hospital systems and clinics how to use AI in healthcare, how we can best leverage these tools to prevent healthcare physician burnout, to help and create better efficiency for our patients. And I'm doing fun stuff like using plushies like this, and which are connected to ChatGPT, and having conversations with our healthcare providers and how they could use a tool like this to create better discharge instructions for our patients.
So what is the future? I really think we're going to start using robots through a third party that will be released this year. With this kind of creation, you could put on the eyes of the robot being powered by ChatGPT 4, 5, and what it could do is this. It could look at someone and say that person's sugar is this, their blood pressure is this is their age, and it could be an amazing tool. It could be a reference.
So my commitment is patients are safe. I'm doing talks on empowering our patients, making sure they're using these tools correctly, and they understand the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to AI in healthcare. But more importantly, I am creating these tools because if I am teaching them, I'm also learning how to use them myself and creating my own AI products, so that other healthcare providers and non-healthcare providers can use these tools to improve healthcare. Join me in transforming healthcare. Let's schedule a call on how we can create a better healthcare for tomorrow.
What are the AI components in healthcare? Definition: artificial intelligence, AI, simulation of human intelligence by machines. Key components: machine learning, ML, algorithms that enable computers to learn from data and make decisions. Natural language processing, NLP, allows machines to understand and respond to human language. Computer vision enables machines to interpret and make decisions.
So I'll pause it, but can you imagine? That was just with an image and audio. And it did the facial and the muscles, and it sounds real. So Microsoft will not release this right now because of the elections, but imagine if you put it in the hands of a doctor that could give you your discharge instructions that way. Because how many times have you gone to the doctor and they said something and it's like Charlie Brown, because after that you're like, oh my God, they said X and I can't deal with it. And then after that you don't hear it. But what if I recorded it and used AI, and now I gave it to you? And so like at 2 in the morning, you'd be like, oh yeah, now I can go through this, and now you saw the transcript. And that's such a better way to deliver medicine. There's this cool thing called the pendant. It's coming out in the fall. There are multiple projects like this. Just imagine a little tiny pendant that goes on you, and then when you see the doctors transcribing. So I won't bore you with my English accent, but that was...
Limitless Pendant.
All right, guys. Well, welcome. I'm excited about today's guest. Really stoked. I know he mentioned he is married to a healthcare professional, so I'm really excited to know that there's someone in the house pushing healthcare. So without further ado, I'm going to let Dan introduce himself and welcome. So welcome, sir. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be here. I started this company, Limitless, and we make a pendant. I'm wearing one right now, inspired by an experience actually in my 20s, slowly losing my hearing. And when I turned 30, I tried a hearing aid and it was magical. To lose a sense and gain it back again felt like gaining a superpower. And so ever since that moment, I have been on a hunt for ways that technology can augment human capabilities and give us superpowers. That led me to memory. Like you mentioned in the clip just now, the Charlie Brown, people actually have a pretty poor memory. About 90% of what happens after a week is forgotten. And so that started us on this journey of trying to help do what a hearing aid does for hearing and glasses does for vision, but for your memory instead. So that's what we've built. It is a wearable AI that captures everything you say, everything you hear, and then leverages AI to make it useful. It's a personalized AI. And so throughout your day, you don't have to take notes anymore. You don't have to write things down. You can just wear a pendant and go about your day, hopefully remembering everything that you need to remember for the future.
Love it. Now, let me take off that banner. Sorry. Now, I'm really stoked about what you just said. Oh, sorry. I guess. Oh, you know what? I'm hearing interference. Sorry, I had the LinkedIn on my left here, and I was hearing your voice. I'm like, whoa, where'd that come from? So thank you for telling us your story. I really think we are all, as inventors and entrepreneurs, inspired. So I love that you shared that with us. Big picture, tell us about your journey. I mean, I'm from an entrepreneur. I'm really curious. Like, you had this idea, and then just, if you don't mind, kind of sharing kind of where the company's gone and where you're at today, and what kind of things you see.
Yeah, my journey actually begins with a company before this called Optimizely, and grew that to about 450 people and sold it. And while I was, actually running that company, I realized how important it is as an entrepreneur to really love the problem you're trying to solve. At Optimizely, it took us a few years, but we eventually solved the problem. In fact, the problem we were trying to solve back then was I had worked on the Obama campaign in 2008, and we're trying to make it really easy to do website A/B testing. We'd done that. And then 3 years into that company, we'd sort of achieved it. And, when you fall out of love with your company and kind of the problem you're solving, you can't really build, indefinitely. And so I actually started this company very much focused on what's the kind of problem that I would want to be spending decades of my life and potentially even failing at, and being on my deathbed and being glad that I tried to tackle one of these audacious problems. And that's what led me to this idea of giving humans perfect memory and augmenting human intelligence with artificial intelligence, not replacing human intelligence, but augmenting human intelligence. So that's been sort of the spark that started us. We've been on a very meandering path through what one of our investors describes as the idea maze, which is often what happens in an early stage startup. Is you put something out there, you learn and you adapt. So the very first thing we put out there actually was called Scribe. So for medical communities, I'm familiar with the Scribe. It's basically what a Scribe does, just an AI. This was kind of before this became very popular, but it was Scribe.ai. And it captured Zoom meetings. This was back in March 2020. So everyone's on Zoom, it's in the pandemic, and it transcribes the Zoom meetings. From that, we learned there's huge opportunity to go beyond just meetings and actually capture more of what you do. So then our next sort of pivot was a product called Rewind, which captures your Mac, the things you say, the things you see, the things you hear on your Mac. And then we had this, well, hold on, that went great. What if we did it for the real world? So we thought, let's do the crazy thing and build something like hardware that you can wear everywhere you go. And that sort of led us to where we are today. So that's been kind of the evolution. I would describe each step along the way as this feeling of coming home. That's the kind of, when you do a good pivot, it feels like you're coming home. It's more familiar. It's Dalton Caldwell coined this phrase, and it really resonates with me, which is, it's the things you've learned along the way. It's the lessons you've heard from users, the technology that you've tried. And each step along the way, you become more familiar, more focused on the things that feel more core to what you want to be doing. And that's exactly what we're doing today.
I love it. And not to distract, but I want to share this experience. Last week, I was at a conference and all of the speakers were amazing. And I thought, man, I need to record this. So I actually recorded it, used AI, but you'll appreciate this workflow. This week, Google announced the Notebook LLM podcast portion of the notebook. And I took my AI notes, I put it in there and made a podcast. And I thought, man, how cool. I mean, that's just amazing to be able to do that. And so from my point of view, I'm curious, is there a time limit when I use your pendant, or what's the specifics on that?
Yeah, it's designed to be on all day. So it has a 100-hour battery life. You're able to, and it's sort of the idea is you set it and forget it. You don't think about it. And because often actually what happens is if you're going to take notes throughout the day, you often actually have very poor foresight. You might not know what you need later. And so by default, we try to err on the side of making it the kind of tool that you would want to use throughout the day. And we have a bunch of features I can talk about around privacy, around your privacy of the people you meet with, that sort of makes this good for society at large, and sort of ensures you get consent of the people around you. And so that makes it the kind of tool that you don't actually need to think about. Just like I do in the morning, I put my hearing aid on, I put my watch on, grab my phone, and I put my pendant on. And it's just another way, sort of my armor going into the day to survive and be more productive.
And I love how serious you're taking privacy. And I love that that is on the core. As a doctor, and obviously HIPAA compliance and all of that, I take that really serious. So can you walk me through that kind of algorithm? Like, let's pretend I'm your doctor and you're my patient wearing it. What kind of steps would we need? I know it's not HIPAA compliant just yet, but just kind of walk me through that. Just say we were just having a conversation, we want to record it.
Yeah, I mean, at the most simple level, I'll basically say if you wear it around people and they don't want you to record, you just put it in your pocket. It's not something you're forced to use, but it's something that I found now wearing it for a while as we're dog fooding it ourselves is when the why is really clear, it's much more understandable. So when you explain to somebody, hey, I'm your doctor. Let's give the setting you described. I'm your doctor. Hey, are you okay if I capture and record this conversation? I'll share a summary with you afterwards. This will make sure that I capture all the details of your medical history, right? And it lets me actually look you in the eye and we can talk face to face instead of me sitting there. How many of you listen to this have had patients where you're sitting there at your computer, you don't even look at the patient as they're talking, and you feel awkward about it? Isn't that like the worst kind of medicine, the kind of medicine where you're just a cog in a machine typing things out? Wouldn't it be better to actually look them in the eye, to actually have a conversation? And as a byproduct of that conversation, the pendant captures it. It knows what your voice sounds like. It knows what the patient's voice sounds like. It can identify each speaker. And instead of you having to type laboriously and then having to go through and actually, do the medical history or differential diagnosis, it's just there in the EMR. You go back to it and it's everything you would have typed and better, just done for you automatically. It just takes it right off your plate so you can focus on the patient instead of focusing on, taking notes.
And I love that you said that, and that's why I started the first minute with that video. I call it the Charlie Brown moment. I know that as a physician, if I say certain things, let's just call it, if I tell someone, hey, you have cancer, and I'm being delicate and I explain it, the minute I say cancer, I know from that moment on, it's the Charlie Brown moment, because they're still processing. They're still saying, oh my gosh, I was just told I have cancer. And they're still thinking and thinking. And then meanwhile, I'm going through their therapy, what's going on, questions they have, and it's almost like they become a robot because they're just answering, but I know they're not quite there. So I love this example, because if I had something that could record it, now that patient, and like I said in the video, at 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning, they can go back like, oh my gosh, I don't remember what my doctor just said to me. And now they have that as a resource. Obviously, I'm going to be there for them. Maybe I'm sleeping at that time, and maybe someone on call will be able to answer those questions. But I think it's so much better if it's coming from your doctor, their voice. Question, does it also do audio, or is it just a transcription?
It also does audio. So it'll capture the audio, you can play it back, and it also do transcription. So it'll do both.
Oh, awesome. Now, we already started having a question, and this is a little technical, but it's asking, can it do quantitative analysis of the patient's data?
Quantitative analysis, probably not. Certainly qualitative analysis of what they're saying. I mean, that's one beautiful thing about large language models is they get better and better. Their ability to just take what's given, sort of the data, the subjective nature of somebody's data, of what they're saying, their tone. So all of that is something that we can make inference on. I have to know more about what the kind of quantitative data you're thinking, but it's mostly designed. The input into the device is the audio. It's what you're saying. It's what they're saying. And the output is any tool that you want, your EMR, and if you're taking notes, another tool, you can do that as well.
Then the next one's from Lisa here, says, what about storage, personalized storage of the data captured?
So we take this super seriously. So, we have underlying foundation of our product we call the confidential cloud. And in a lot of the decisions we've made around the underlying foundation of our product all go back to privacy. And I can talk more about why, but let's just say privacy is very, very important for the product we're trying to build. So, the goal is to build a system that ultimately the data is data you control. It doesn't go to your employer, it doesn't go to the government. And the data that you can control, we give you features like lockdown. So you can end-to-end encrypt the data, end to end. The most common path is, you're speaking, goes to I'll just talk a little bit about how it works. You speak, the device that has 3 microphones actually that does beamforming on the device. So we can actually detect where the audio is coming from, stores it locally, and then as needed, it will offload it to your phone via Bluetooth or to the internet via Wi-Fi. And then your phone it does the offload as well. And then in the cloud, we transcribe it and we store it securely using state-of-the-art encryption, and then have control for access, who can access it, and based off of what you set up when you set up your account.
Love it. Well, I'm just going to show this one. It says, I love this a boom for people and hearing issues. So good job. Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
Thanks.
That's why we do it. Another one here. Any AI technology to prepare to take our medical boards, like questions and answers based on what the curriculum will be asking. So I'll give it a stab unless you kind of know what he's asking.
Go for it.
Yeah, the way I see it is, let's pretend you're my professor. You're teaching me something in medical world, and I'm recording it. I'm assuming that since I have the transcript now, I could take that transcript now and put it into, I'll call ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever your AI flavor, and then it could extract what common questions should be asked based on that curriculum. I think that's what that person's asking.
Yeah,
and I would assume.
Yeah, certainly our product is exceptional for students. When you're trying to learn a lot of information, if you're watching, lectures on in person or podcasts, or you're trying to consume a lot of information, being able to capture things passively, not knowing when you might want it later, also is really powerful because you can summarize it. You can add. We actually today, if you go to limitless.ai, you can use our live note-taking app automatically. You turn on the recorder and it will start taking notes for you, the world's best notes, automatically, just by using the audio of what's being said. And lastly, you can also search and ask questions. So I think that's another key kind of use case, certainly for folks who are learning. Maybe they're studying, you're synthesizing lots of information, but you want to ask yourself, what was it? Whenever you have this sort of tip of the tongue feeling, you're like, where did I see that thing? Or what was that concept? You can now connect the dots because you've got this impeccable memory, this sort of perfect recall of anything you've seen, anything you've said, anything you've heard.
Awesome. Now, Adam just added, he says, hello, guys. Great job. I love the passion. Kaiser has now implemented and is using a similar technology. It's an exciting time for this type of technology. Thank you.
Yes, it is exciting time. I do think the market that we're in is very interesting. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if folks remember the cloud storage days when before Dropbox became big, there were like dozens of tools and technologies all kind of letting you store files in the cloud, which now, of course, is sort of commonplace. But back then was kind of a new niche thing. And nobody had quite gotten it right. All of it was a little bit frustrating or a little bit broken or a little bit brittle. So our hope is, there are companies and there are tools out there that do different forms of what we do. Nobody else really does what we're focused on with the wearable, but certainly there's lots of online recording tools. In fact, that's what we started with in 2020. And then there's all kinds of sort of hospital-led efforts around more automated AI. But what we're hoping to do is build a great end-to-end product that is not just the hospital sort of forcing it down your neck. It's actually a product you're excited to use because it takes things off your plate. That's ultimately what we're trying to do. Like I said before, we're augmenting human intelligence, not replacing human intelligence. So if you just think about your day as a doctor going in, and how much of your day are you the one that really needs to be doing it? And to the extent that an AI can take things off your plate, that's where we really want to shine. And so that's our focus, is how do we take things off your plate? And we hope if we do that well enough, then we'll build something really big here.
And I'm going to echo what you just said, and I truly believe it. And I say it all the time. I really think it's human plus AI. It's going to beat the best AI out there or the best human, because you're leveraging both. And it's that creativity and it's that person that you are. And now you're leveraging technology. And I know you've already answered this, but maybe you can clarify. We just got a question again. It says, can this be used for physicians connecting to a scribe tool, or does it do the scribing?
It does the scribing. So it is taking the audio of the conversation you have, the things you're saying, the things your patient is saying, and then doing useful things with it. So and it does impeccable transcription. It does, on top of the transcription, it does voice identification, voice fingerprinting. It knows what your voice sounds like. Those subtle things are hard to do, but really important, because if you're doing a medical history and then, the transcript is like the things you're saying, you can kind of get muddied. So we want to make sure it's like impeccable quality in, and that way you get impeccable quality out.
Awesome. Now, someone says, hey, can you name that AI technology again? So if you want to, we'll make sure to put your website in the comments, but if you want to give the website again and the name of your company.
Yeah, it's just Limitless, just like on my shirt, limitless.ai. Today, you can use it on the web. We have a Mac app, we have a Windows app, and you can try it right now, and you can see what the transcription's like. You can see what the live note taking is, the summaries. And then the pendant, you can also order at limitless.ai. It's $99. If you order today, we'll have it in time for you by Christmas. And so we're scaling production. We've got a huge wait list, but we're scaling production quickly. So everything I just described, you can have in your hands before the end of the year.
And I'm curious, I see the pendant. Are you recording this so that we can see that transcription by chance?
I am. Yeah, I don't have it pulled up right here, but yeah, it is transcribing this and recording it. And yeah, I can post a link afterwards showing you the transcript. Yeah.
Awesome. And I don't want you to have to mess with it, but do you have another one that you can kind of show and kind of the size? So
yeah, I can pull it off.
Or take it off.
It's very small. So it's a tiny little, it's like a little delicious macaron, one of those like French pastries. It's got this magnetic clasp that you can kind of open and you can very satisfyingly close. It can clip to your clothes. We also have a necklace that you can put this around, that you can put around your body, and that gives you sort of lots of different ways to wear it. You can clip it to your notebook. We really designed this to be the most wearable AI, so you can actually wear it in any configuration you want. It's very light. It'll make it through the laundry, at least once, maybe a couple times. It'll be IP67 waterproof. So we're really trying to build this something that you can just set and forget, wear it every day. And, I'll tell you this, honestly, having worn it now for a few weeks, I can't imagine living life without it. It has transformed how I show up in the world. Instead of having to take notes, I just pay attention to the person I'm speaking with. When I'm out to go to Trader Joe's to pick some groceries, and my wife tells me right before I leave, don't forget the milk. Now I'm at Trader Joe's. I'm thinking, what did my wife just say? Pull it right up. I see it right there. She said, don't forget the milk. So there are moments in your life you don't even realize. This is why we called our company Limitless, by the way. We believe, and I strongly believe, having had this experience losing my hearing, that we all live with biological limits that we don't even know are there. We don't even realize they're there. That we're like horses with blinders on. And until you felt what it's like to have perfect memory, you don't know how bad your memory actually is. And so our hope is that if we're able to deliver on this promise, that not just us, but the billions of people on this planet every day will live life more productively, more happy, more focused, instead of having to chop down a tree and turn it into a paper and take a stick with ink at the end of it to write things down, which is the best way we've come up with remembering things. They just go out through their lives and live their lives normally, and all the benefits of perfect memory come to them automatically.
And I want to echo what you just said. I mean, and Nikki just said it again. She said, human plus AI equals success. And you're right. And my other favorite phrase now is, we don't know what we don't know. And here it is. Great example. Now, obviously, I already got this interesting question, and he wants to know, hey, I'd like to invest. I'm in AI, and I'm in Saudi Arabia, and I would like to work with. So I'm sure you could connect with him on LinkedIn and hit him up, and then you guys can chat. So let's see the next one. It's a little bit more medical. It says, on AI contributing to the development of new drugs and vaccine, especially during a global health crisis. Or I'm sorry, how AI? And I can answer that. The skinny is this. If you haven't heard of AlphaFold, I believe, I'm going blank now if it's AlphaFold 3 or 4, but there's different variations of it. But the way they're doing it now is, imagine in medicine, there's this whole lock key effect, and we have to figure out what that lock looks like and what that key looks like in order to create drugs. Well, now with AI, literally they're creating the 3D structure, and Google DeepMind created that. And now on top of that, they're creating the different modules of how it could work in the mRNA, creating that protein and creating that product. So just mind blowing. So hit me up on the side and I'll be happy to kind of go over that, but it's pretty cool. Another one, it says from Adam, it could be helpful in the future if you use the phone. Is there some kind of rendition where this will be with the phone as well?
Yeah, so it actually works great on the phone today. You can use just limitless.ai in Safari on your phone. You could record, and trust me, if we could get away with doing what we want to do with your Apple Watch or phone, we would have gladly done it. It is not easy to build a physical hardware product. In fact, we went sort of problem first toward this. Like, it was necessary to actually solve the problem we want, because today most phones you have in your pocket, they won't let you do sort of indefinite recording. As soon as you watch a YouTube video, it sort of stops the recording. The workflow of taking what's being captured and making it actually useful, storing it in a way that you can sort of get insights into your life, or being able to actually do retrieval augmented generation, or RAG on top of that data, is very challenging. So we felt like in order to actually go that last mile and capturing conversations that you wouldn't normally have, it's much easier to use the pendant than it is your phone. It's also different socially. When you're in a phone, if you're having a lunch conversation with a friend, sort of taking out your phone and taking notes is distracting. Putting your phone in front of them, like Leslie Stahl, feels like you're interviewing them. So we felt like, from a social acceptance point of view, that there's probably an opportunity to find something a little less in your face that could actually capture things with a much better quality. And that's the last thing I'll say, is that we've designed this product to create to sort of capture crystal clear audio in a crowded cafe. So like I said before, it does beamforming. So it actually adjusts the mic. It's kind of, you can imagine, like if you have a fancy video conference at your job, at your boss, or in your conference room at work, that little thing, the little puck in the middle of the room that has these amazing microphones that can kind of point to whoever's speaking in a room for 20, that's now on your chest. So that's all what was necessary to build this device. Sure, if one day phones can do that, awesome. We will be first in line to be the best app to leverage that technology. But today the hardware is limited and can't do it.
All right, and here's a kind of doctor question. I'll hit this one. It says, how are AI-powered wearables and apps helping patients manage chronic diseases more? And I'll hit part of this, and I'm sure you can add to it. As a doctor, I need more data for my patients. So if I have a device like this that's literally getting more information, then I can pair that data to whatever I'm working on. So say we're talking to a diabetic, or someone that, let's do diabetes and hypertension because they're parallel, but the skinny is, say I needed to follow up your sugar, and now I'm able to quantify what you're eating, how well you're doing, are you exercising, through your logs of your day. And so that's one example how I could take that data, integrate it with what I'm needing, and now give you better care. Maybe I realize it's your diet. Maybe I realize that it's XYZ that I need to adjust. And so this is one way that I see would be able to help our patients. How about you? What do you think, Dan?
That you nailed it. That's a great answer. Totally agree.
All right. And then let's see. How do you see AI to discuss consents for surgical procedures verbally and in writing? So how would your device help us there?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on what sort of the constraints are here. I would say that one of the things that as we've gotten a huge influx of healthcare providers, really banging on our door for this device. And one of the things that I thought they would be concerned about, but it turned out to be the opposite, is around liability and around the concern for malpractice. At first I thought, boy, aren't doctors going to be afraid that they're going to be wearing this pendant that captures the conversation? And what if they say something wrong and now they're going to get sued for malpractice? And what I found, actually, it was kind of the opposite, is that doctors are very excited to actually have this as an asset to sort of back them up, to show that they did the right thing. Because, most doctors do the right thing. They just, sometimes the patient gets upset, or, who knows why, but oftentimes if a malpractice suit comes, it may not be grounded in truth, but maybe in somebody's perception. When you have the data of what was said, what wasn't said, preparing you for surgery or helping people really understand, if you can play back the audio of what was said, you can really understand what the trade-offs might be if you're a patient. I think that's a good thing for society. And, that's something I'm excited to do, is to give doctors peace of mind. They just can show up, they can talk to a patient, they can hear their medical history, they can ask them questions, and they don't have to be worried that, one day down the line, they're going to get in trouble when a patient thinks something happened that didn't.
Yeah, good question. Now, doctor just mentioned, how can AI convince our parents to understand that vaccines prevent diseases, and if not given, can lead to many serious illnesses? There's so much fear and misinformation on vaccines. I will say that patients do not want a vaccine to prevent pertussis in a newborn, for example. And I'll stab this at this one. let's leverage, again, going back to my core concept earlier, it's human plus AI, and you have a problem. And how can we fix that? So a couple of ways is the following. I always say AI can help us speak to that particular person. So example, if you know that they're against the vaccine and here's that persona, then you can take your core concepts of what you're trying to teach and say we're using the limitless pendant here, and we have a transcription of, say, a presentation that you thought, man, I nailed it. You take that transcription and then you pair it to, you ask ChatGPT to be a naysayer against vaccines, and then you take that conversation, you put it in, and now you ask it for a new transcript to say, hey, how can I address this better? And now this is an example how you're using AI, in this example, the limitless pendant, plus your human personality that you're saying, this is how I teach, and you're putting it together to give a better outcome. So great question.
Can I touch on that as well? Because I think there's a related point here, which is, NFL season's back in swing. I don't know if folks were watching any of the games, but if you're a quarterback and you throw an interception, you go to the sideline, you're sitting on the bench, you've got a coach there with a printout of exactly who you missed, what you didn't see in the moment, giving you the guidance and help to be better. And that's what actually the promise of AI and the pendant in particular can do for you in situations where maybe you had a conversation with a patient and you're trying to convince them about something, maybe about the vaccine, and it didn't go well. Very rarely can you go back to and look at the game tape and say, what did I say that maybe went the wrong direction? Or how could I have done that better? That's actually an exceptionally good use case for large language models. It can take the transcript of the conversation that you're capturing with the pendant, and you can go back to it and ask, like, hey, how could I have handled this better? Where did things go south? What questions could I have asked? What could I have done to be more persuasive? And those are exactly the kinds of things that large language models are exceptionally good at. For example, I just asked earlier a couple of days ago, I asked my Limitless Pendant, the question, how could I have been more assertive without being aggressive at work in the last few meetings? There's a certain couple topics that came up during, these aren't patient conversations, we're building a product, and it gave these great examples of maybe times where I was saying something a little bit more passive aggressive. And in my mind, it was clear, of course, like I'm trying to be communicative, I'm clear, but until you have the game tape, until you have that coach who's helping you be better with that piece of paper of how you throw that interception, you don't really see the mirror and how you show up every day. So I think that, to answer your question, kind of a meta sense, being able to have that coach and be better and sort of treat your craft like a professional athlete and show up better every day, I think is a really powerful opportunity for AI.
Yeah, great. And now I'm going to echo what you said earlier. And then Nikki again said, taking out your phone to take notes in a meeting can be very distracting. Using Limitless so you can focus on the conversation live, yet capturing the conversation crystal clear for review. So thank you for saying that. And then she also posted the web. So there's limitless.ai. Is that correct?
That's right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
All right. Now, Doug says, hey, how can AI help improve the conversation between a doctor and a patient? And so one of the things that I know, Doug, personally, this is a free thing that I have on ChatGPT. I created a Medi helper, and the idea is this. You're coming to see the doctor. You get 13 minutes on the national average with that doctor. If you don't know what to ask, let's ask AI, hey, I have diabetes, I have hypertension, I can't hear. Can you help me come up with the questions? So that's one on the front end, to be proactive, so that when you show up to the doctor's office, you got your questions, you got your follow-up questions, and you're going to ask. Because how many times have you gone to the doctor later, you thought, man, I forgot to ask XYZ, and now it's going to be 3 months, and then if I try to call them or get a hold of them, it's going to be a bit. Any ideas, Dan, from on your end, how else can we help at that patient interaction?
I've already touched on a couple of these, but I think the big one is really just being able to actually connect and talk and not be distracted by taking notes. We all think, it's funny, when you're taking notes, you probably think you're paying attention, but there's lots of studies that show, and there's actually this misconception. People think that when you take notes, you will remember the conversation better. And actually, it's a little bit more nuanced. When you take notes, studies show that you will remember the thing you're writing, but as you're writing it, you are immediately forgetting and not even hearing the thing that's being said immediately afterwards. So you have this sort of selective, sort of staccato perception of the conversation. Even if you're typing notes, you think you're capturing what's saying, you're transcribing. You might even be blindly transcribing with your hands what's being said, but you're not processing what they're saying. So I think it starts with that. It's being more empathetic and really listening. If you're a healthcare provider, certainly if you're a patient, that's true as well. If you're wearing the pendant, you're going in to see a doctor and they're going to tell you something like you've got cancer, like you said earlier. That's a hard thing to hear. And so being able to actually listen and process in the moment and then also go back to it afterwards, I also think can improve connection and communication. And I think that's really powerful.
Yeah. And Doug, thanks for telling us 50% of our patients do not follow their treatment plan. So again, if we had the transcription here and there's some key points that I'm telling you as a doctor and you're my patient using Limitless, then now that person can go back and say, you know what, he did tell me I need to take my medicine for the following reasons, or, oh my gosh, just to put an aside, I'm holding the Apple Vision Pro here. And I always say I would love to put these things on my patients and walk through their physiology and walk through their actual CAT scan CD, and then they can see that CT in 3D and kind of walk them through why it's so important for them to take their medicine. So good question. Another one is non-adherence is responsible for an estimated 125,000 deaths between 100 and $300 billion in annual costs. Training itself to become a better communication clinician. Agreed. It's all about communication. And I totally understand what you just said. You're right. If my computer's over here on the left and you're on my right and I'm typing away and I'm trying to listen and type, I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. We need to use a scribe. We're too far in advance in the world now that should be just standard of care. Healthcare is the best, is at its best, is a conversation between a doctor and patient trying to solve a problem. So thank you, Doug. And then Doug shared the MediHelper that I had. Another doctor said, hey, good idea, Harvey. So keep them coming. Let's see. How can AI help in reducing the overall cost of healthcare without compromising quality? I'll jump on that one. So big picture, there's a lot of waste in medicine. We spend a lot of time doing these things, and give you an example, just this conversation that we're having, this transcription, the average cost of doing that is about $1,200 per doctor per year. So to me, as this technology evolves, the price should be going down and down and down to the point where it's just integrated as part of the medical record, and we're giving better care, and it's not costing us more to give better care. So good question. So I think we hit all of the questions, I believe. Dan, I wanted to see if you had anything else that you want to tell us. I know me as a futurist, I want to know what the future holds. What do you guys can share? What are you going to do? Like, I'd love to see what kind of stuff that you could share with us, especially what you guys are doing.
I'll share a couple things. I mean, one is, I think this may be a controversial opinion, but I think AI is underhyped, not overhyped. I think we are on an exponential, and when you're on an exponential, that's compounding exponentially. In the moment, it looks it kind of looks like it's kind of it's going fast, but it's not going faster and faster. But the rate of improvement on every dimension, the ability for inference, the cost per token inference, the training, the size of the models, the improvements in the quality and intelligence is growing at such a pace that already, I think, it's actually quite amazing. There's, the saying that, technology is, it's just not evenly distributed yet. So if you're listening to this and you're a healthcare provider and thinking, well, it's AI, whatever, it's another hype thing. It's like crypto, it's going to come and go. I think you're probably mistaken. And in particular in medicine, AI, if you are not using AI to be a better healthcare provider, you will likely fall behind, and the best providers will be the ones that augment themselves using technology, not the ones that are getting replaced. So I do think it's inevitable. There are certain disciplines actually that I think are maybe completely going to go away in medicine. I don't want to put anyone on notice, but there are probably some that just completely get replaced by AI because it's better, cheaper, faster. I know that's probably scary for some, but my only advice is to at least recognize that it may be even more powerful than you may be hearing in the media.
I agree. I love what you just said, and I think you're right. I think we're underhyping AI. I think it has so much promise. I mean, as a student, I think I'm a lifelong learner. I'm using AI more and more and realizing how much better and quicker I'm learning certain tasks, and it's because of AI. I highly encourage everybody to check out and using these tools. Proof of concept, you'll find this funny, Dan. I took all my transcripts, all my information out there, blogs that I've written, interviews that I've been on, and I put it into a RAG model, and I put a widget to my website. So now I call it my digital twin, and you can literally have a conversation with me about AI, healthcare. I'll make sure to take this transcript from the one you got, and I'll put that as part of my AI. So that'll be fun. I love this space. Another quick thing I'll just share with you. I just put out a product called Speaker Plus AI, and the skinny is I could take any video. Actually, could take this video from us and I will actually, and upload it, and then it'll grade us how well we spoke, how well we delivered, what we could do better. And it's just leveraging AI. So there's someone else, she just put, there should be a limit by using AI. There should be limits by using AI, and I'll answer that one, and I'm sure Dan will jump in as well. I agree on the privacy, and that's why I'm so happy. Again, I don't have any shares in Limitless, but I'm happy to say that he's doing so many things on the privacy side and to making sure that this is secure and that it's safe and that this information is just not going out there to train some model, which is not. And I say AI should have limits, and I think on the privacy and ethical side, and obviously in healthcare from the HIPAA compliance, it definitely does.
Yeah, I'll just add, I think AI should have limits, but humans should not. I think we should all be limitless. And I think the power for us to free the human mind from our biological limitations is truly spectacular. And we all live our lives. I'll tell you this is my prediction for the future. Our kids, and certainly our grandkids, will be shocked at how we lived our lives today. It will seem so arcane that we lived our lives the way we do. The fact that, wait a minute, you're saying you just forgot 90% of what happened throughout the week and you were okay with that? You took a stick with ink at the end of it and scribble things down on a thing called paper to try to remember things. That was your best idea for how to capture the things that are going around your life. You know, life is precious and you just forgot most of it. And I think in a world where AI can help you augment yourself and be better, just like that quarterback I talked about earlier, who can be better at learning from what they do. I think our kids and our grandkids will constantly be getting better using AI to augment themselves. And I think that's the promise of a future that I'm excited to be a part of.
Yeah, and I'm just going to hit the last 3 comments. Susan, thank you for saying. It says, AI is excellent for educating the world. There are so many countries who will be able to take an advantage of AI to help them to do better. And without hiring a tutor, it brings equality. If you haven't gone on Khan Academy, check out Khan Migo. It's a little AI device, and it helps you tutor your kids. And it's unreal how well that works. The next one, recognizing that AI may be more powerful than we have heard in the media, we can grow and execute faster by leveraging what we've learned. Yes, 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 yes. Let's see. What app will you upload this to again? Yes, Dan's going to share his Limitless transcription, and he will post about it, and he'll make sure to tag me, and I'll post it on my website as well, on my page, and so you'll be able to see it. And then, and if you go to the comments, you'll see the website. And then, yes, the huge elephant in the room is ethics, and we're being very ethical about this, and I'm being very careful with my patients how I use this myself. And honestly, I feel like there always has to be transparency, and I'm pushing the hospital systems to make sure that if they are using AI, to put it on their doors, to make sure that people know when they come in and anything they sign, that how they're using it. Great question. And I think this is the last question or statement from Chad. It says, if the mantra is accurate, which states AI will not take over MD jobs, docs who are the best fluent in AI will take over jobs from docs who do not, then any advice on where to best educate one's self-efficiency on the AI curve, and how are AI teaching modules for healthcare AI novice, other resources to be on the radar? I'm going to self-plug myself here. Go to harveycastromd.info/aid, and I'll put it in the comments. And I did a whole course. It's got over 65 lessons on AI in healthcare, and it goes through A to Z. And I have a whole, I want to say almost a third on ethics and that information. The other thing I'm going to say is follow people on the right, follow people on the left, follow all of it. And that way you see the spectrum, not just me or not just Dan, just follow everybody, because the more you start seeing, the more you're going to learn. I'm biased. I like Matt Wolf. He's out there putting YouTubes all the time, and he's got some pretty good content. But that's just one of many people. I know Alan Thompson is a futurist friend of mine, and he has amazing stuff. And anytime any new AI model comes out, he's literally within minutes putting it out there on YouTube. So I love following him. I don't know if you have any favorites, sir. Dan, do you have anybody you kind of like, or you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say 2 things on this. I do want to say one slight correction. I do think AI will take over some MD jobs. So I don't want to be utopian here. I do think there are some things that are just generally better through AI. That may be controversial, but I'll give you an example of radiology. I don't know if there'll be radiologists in 5 or 10 years. Like, sorry to put you on notice, but like there's certain disciplines where just AI is going to be exceptionally better, cheaper, faster. There may be one, Uber radiologist that supervises 100 AIs, and like 1 out of 100, maybe they make a tweak. But I just want to be clear. There's other disciplines where I do think a human will always be in the loop, and certainly ones in which there's a human connection with other humans that will be important. And then I would say my best advice is to start with a mindset of being better. If you just want to be better at what you do and use AI to do that, and that's where it's kind of building a new muscle. We're all used to using Google and searching and maybe some resources you're used to as a doctor, but you have to kind of learn to know to ask the questions to try to be better. And so I encourage you to try to use the latest frontier models from Anthropic or OpenAI. Try to build it part of your habit of just like, hey, I'm stumped on a problem. Let me ask AI if it can help me. And if you have a mindset of always trying to be better, if you have a direct connection to patients, if you're actually seeing them face to face, I think your job is safe. But recognize that the world is changing faster and faster, and the best way to keep up is to be part of the ride and to use the technology to be better.
Love it. 3 more, and when I promise we're done. These were great. It says, great discussion on leveraging AI to boost productivity and patient care. Exciting. So thank you for saying that. And then someone just put, I just bought a pendant. Looking forward to receiving it. So
thank you.
And then radiologists will change the way we deliver care. They are smart enough to do so. They will not disappear. And I'll add to that statement. Yes, I have a hard time believing, at least in my future here in the United States, that we will see that replacement. I call it the great shift. I think a radiologist that may be replaced in the sense that their job description will change. They will start maybe becoming more an interventional radiologist, something with their hands. With that said, even if this thing is 99.9% correct, that 0.1% or whatever is too much of a risk. The other part to that, I feel that humans in general, they always want that human touch. They want to know that human. Now, with that said, fast forward, I see kids playing on their iPads or phones. And my great example is I saw an AI robot that can do your crown in 15 minutes instead of hours going to the dentist. 15 minutes, and it's a whole robot. And I thought, I hate the dentist, but I would not allow a robot to touch my mouth. And that's just me. Yet I'm out there preaching and pushing AI. With that said, I look at the younger population. I'm thinking they are going to accept this. They're going to grow up with it. They're more accustomed, and the culture will shift. And then at that point, yes, maybe we will start seeing replacements in certain parts more. And I'll give you that one at that point. So, and let's see who else. Who is Aiden Castro? You mentioned. Oh, I don't know. Alan. Oh, I'm sorry. Alan Thompson. Sorry. Alan Thompson. And I'll make sure to put a link at the end of his, but just go on YouTube and type in Alan Thompson, and he's got, I think it's called Life Architect or Architect Life AI. It's a whole channel. It's amazing stuff. I'm a little geeky. If you haven't heard about him, Dan, you should check him out. He's actually pretty good. And then the last here is Harvey. Good to see you. And Dan. And then this is the very last. Dr. Castro will speak at the Ageless Evolution Longevity Summit on October 11th. And I'm actually doing my first TED Talk on October 26th in Virginia. So I'm really excited about doing my first TED Talk. So with that, I'm going to leave us and then see if you had anything else, Dan. I really thank you for your time and all you're doing for this image and thought that you had that you wanted to create a reality. And here it is. It's a reality. So congratulations. And anything else you want to tell us?
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. I'm very excited for the opportunity for AI to help us all be better, especially healthcare providers and the connection. I'm excited for a world where doctors can actually look their patients in the eye and provide care. I think that's good for patients. And I think that's good for healthcare providers.
Awesome. Well, everybody, please go on Dan's page. If you have any questions, investments, anything, hit him up, follow him, obviously follow me. And then I'm going to end the stream. And then Dan, if you want to stick around for a couple of seconds, and then we can chat. So thank you, everybody, and have a great day. And we will talk soon.